G'day, my name's Wendy and this is Virtual Nature. Today we're looking for kangaroos and wallabies, and we often see them in these open grassland areas and a little bit of dry sclerophyll forest. The wallabies tend to use the forest a little bit more for shelter, and the kangaroos tend to be a little bit more out in the open, but quite often you can see them grazing together, and there's actually quite a few little kangaroos just down the road here. Now, the main difference between kangaroos and wallabies is their size. The kangaroos tend to be bigger. The ones I usually see are the eastern grey kangaroos, and they are essentially just grey. And I also go looking for the redneck wallabies, and they are kind of grey as well, and they've got like reddish shoulders, and then they've got this black line that goes down their face. Other species of wallabies we see around the Northern Rivers are the swamp wallaby and the pretty face or whiptail wallaby. There are about 30 species of what we call kangaroos and wallabies in the genus Macropos, but in the overarching family, which is Macropodiae, there are about 45 species, which includes the tree kangaroos and paddymellons. Here's a fun fact. What we call redneck wallabies here on the mainland, they call Bennett's wallabies in Tasmania. And in fact, they're the same species. It's also the same species that you can find in other countries where they've escaped from zoos. Kangaroos have amazing biology that makes them very well adapted for the driest inhabited continent on the planet. Before the female gives birth, if the conditions aren't right, so if there's not enough food or water, she can actually suspend her pregnancy until the conditions improve, and then she can resume that same pregnancy. We're not sure how long this suspension can go on for, but it's at least a few years. Then when it's about 12 months old, it becomes foot young, and it just hangs around the feet of its mum, and occasionally you see it put its head back in the pouch for some milk, but it's also eating a lot of grass at this stage. Here's a fun fact. Kangaroos can actually produce two different kinds of milk at the same time, one for a joey on the teat and one for the foot young. So she could actually have 3 joeys on the go at any one stage. She could have a suspended one, she could have one on her teat, and she could have foot young all at the same time. Just how amazing are these guys? Kangaroos also have amazing biology in terms of their movement. So when they hop, they actually expend energy on their first hop, and then as they land, they absorb that energy through their legs like springs, and then use that energy to then propel them onto all their subsequent hops. It's such a fuel efficient way of them moving. Kangaroos tend to live in groups we call mobs. You usually find an alpha male with some females and some joeys. Occasionally you'll find groups of young males, and they will be fighting with each other, and eventually the alpha to try and see him out. Kangaroos and wallabies live in almost every ecological niche in Australia. Kangaroos clearly love the open grasslands. These have been made more plentiful by the clearing of land for farming, and there's not always been a great relationship between the kangaroos and the farmers. Which has been exacerbated by the recent drought followed by the bushfires. The numbers of kangaroos in Australia have got this magic figure of 30 million no matter what seems to happen to them. These figures just is a point of contention, and if you eat kangaroo, what you're eating is not a farmed kangaroo. You are eating a wild kangaroo like these that are on someone's property that someone's just shot. So that's it for kangaroos and wallabies. They are extraordinary creatures. It's always a pleasure to see them in the wild.